Start us off, Simon.
Michael, congratulations. Congratulations. Second game running that Benjamin's come off the bench and got a goal. Can you just talk about his impact and what he's been like in the squad? Because I would imagine he'd quite like to start sometime.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's a bit of that. I think it's not always as extreme as well. I think there's sometimes I get why everyone's talking about it and making a bigger deal of it. But I've got a really good relationship with Ben. We've had some really good conversations, and he's in a really good place, and part of us is helping him take his steps in development and growing him as a player, and sometimes that's little steps, sometimes that's bigger steps. He's taken some huge steps recently in terms of the goals he scored and the impact and that confidence and that belief that he's playing with now is great to see, and we obviously got to manage that as well, and we got some good forwards, so it's one of those decisions that we got to try and get right. But I've got no problem with Ben, and he hasn't got an issue. He obviously wants to play, but I can't speak highly enough of how he's been and the work he's putting in and his attitude to come on and do what he's done again. I thought he's finished just with so much confidence and belief and ruthless finish, which kind of sums up where he's at the minute, which is great to see.
And then Rob.
Hi Michael. Similarly with Matheus Cunha, I just wonder what it's been like getting to know him over the last few weeks, because he didn't start the first few games in charge, but his contribution for the goal plus his defensive shift, which his teammates seem to really appreciate, must be really pleasing as well.
Yeah, delighted. I think that was kind of where we were tonight. I think we had to put a lot into the game, and everyone did, and I think credit to Everton, they made us dig deep, and it wasn't the prettiest or the most perfect game football-wise for us, but I think, like you say, Matheus, the defensive work you put in, the effort, the work rate, in the end, his moment that we know we've got in a group to create something made the difference for us. But it comes from him defending really well in a deep position to then create that transition, So he's a great character, Matheus. Obviously got to know him, and again, I keep saying it, but we've not been together that long really. So sometimes when you get frustrated with things that you see for the team, I mean, not as an individual, but you kind of got to take a deep breath and think, we're trying to put things in place. The players are still learning. They're getting to know me. I'm getting to know them. So another big moment for Matheus. He's had a number of them since the very starting at City when he came off the bench, and he's had a big impact again today for us, and he's in a good place as well.
I know you'll be looking at it game to game, but in the wider context, how much belief do you think the team can take on a weekend where teams around you drop points? Maybe earlier in the season they weren't taking those opportunities, but that must really help while you try and chase a Champions League place.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of different things to win games as well, and sometimes it'll come a little bit easier and it'll click and the goals will flow and you attack well and the game is a lot more in kind of your favour. Other times, like tonight, credit to Everton, it was a bit of a tight game in some ways, and then it was a little bit sticky. It wasn't flowing as much for us, but I think the spirit and the belief and the trust that the lads are gaining between themselves and between all of us, I think, is important. And we kind of spoke about that before the game, really. If sometimes you've got to rely on that, and to have it, don't take it for granted. And they had it tonight. They needed everybody to put in that little bit extra, and that, in the end, that's what we got out of the game.
Hi, Michael. Just on Ben and Matheus, and obviously Brian's involved in the goal, and Senna in goal as well, has played well. Obviously, in the recent past, we've seen that players who come and play for Man United maybe struggle a little bit. You've been in that situation as well, coming to this club, and where the spotlight, maybe the scrutiny is a little bit different. How impressed have you been with those four guys since you've arrived?
Yeah, massively, and I think that's part of it sometimes is learning to cope with it. And I've said it recently, I said it when I first came, sometimes, it was easy and it's maybe rightly so at times, not so on others, of just expecting players to perform, and sometimes there's a lot more goes into it, and feeling the environment, being comfortable in your surroundings to be able to perform is important, and sometimes it takes a little bit of getting used to, really, and whether you're starting or coming off the bench, and that's part of our job to try and manage that, but yeah, particularly Senna, I thought he was outstanding tonight. I think as a goalkeeper, really, you couldn't expect, you couldn't hope for much more. Safe hands, calm, composed, came and punched when he needed to, and calmed things down. I thought it was an exemplary kind of performance. So I was delighted for him.
Michael, just following on from that on Senna, Van der Sar's been on the TV tonight. Obviously, you played with him for a long time. In terms of, I know he's got a long way to go in his career, but in terms of his calmness and that sort of understated manner, everything just looks unfussy with him. Do you see parallels in that specific bit of temperament and personality to Edwin?
Yeah, I've got to be careful what I say.
Yeah, I'm not.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
You know what I mean. Just on that.
I definitely see that similarities. Yeah, without comparing them, I don't want to be comparing them because I don't think it's fair to Senna. But there's definitely similarities. For me, as a goalkeeper, to be reliable, to be trustworthy, and instead of creating the chaos, you want him to take the chaos away and calm things down. I think Senna is that. He's quite quiet at times and unassuming, but he's got a real steeliness and. To step in, it's a big role, for some, and others are talking there about coping and just being comfortable in your environment. And sometimes it takes time, sometimes not. But he's how he's gone about it at the moment is that calmness, that composure. I think it does help those in front of him an awful lot.
Just on the signings and Senna in particular, Michael, is he maybe an example of how this club is starting to get recruitment right? Because he's a young goalkeeper, was relatively inexperienced in Belgium, and he's obviously kind of got the what you're talking about to play for United. There's been countless games this season where teams are throwing crosses at him, and he just deals with them really, really calm. Is he, do you think, an example of maybe how things are turning here and the club are starting to get things right in terms of quality of players and character as well? In
some ways, yeah. I think it's difficult for me to kind of talk about the past or not when I've not been here, but certainly the boys at the moment who have came in recently are all playing a huge part for us, which is ideal. And a major part of it is the character, and the personality, and that is a major attribute to have, especially playing here. So Senna kind of, the jump that he's had is a big jump, no disrespect, but it's a huge jump for the one he made, and to take it like he has done and just get on with things speaks volumes of his kind of personality, and he's so able to just deal with the environment and play at that level. Listen, that was a tough place, that last 15 minutes, the amount of crosses and corners and things that he had to deal with, and a couple of shots that he just catches and takes the sting out of it. So to be able to do that in such a manner was obviously pleasing for us.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
All right, cheers, guys. Thanks.
Aye, sure. Aye. Tap.
Starting us off. Bill.
David, just start by getting your thoughts on the result and the performance, please.
Disappointed with the result. Happy enough with the second half performance. Didn't think we'd done enough in the first half, but overall lost a really tight game. Could have easily gone in our favour.
Do you think in some ways, obviously it's 7 games without win at home, but that represented a degree of progress today? You fought really hard. The relationship between the fans and the players on the pitch they seemed to fuel each other. That did feel close.
I do, yeah. Thought they done well tonight. Thought the crowd done great. Thought the players done great. They have done all season.
Would it be possible that you made 3 changes? Obviously we know Jake O'Brien was suspended today. Could you just talk us through what the thought process was with those changes?
Just manager's decision. I thought they were the right way to go tonight, and we chose it. Not really giving up too much of my thoughts to you, to be honest.
No, I can tell. Yeah. I'll pass it on then.
Simon.
Hi, Simon.
Yeah. In a game like that, there's not a lot in the game. You could win the game, they could win the game, but they can bring on somebody who costs 70 million quid, and is that the difference?
I think that was the bit he missed there in that question, that one before.
Is that the difference though? In little games like that against clubs like this, they can just call on players that you can't get hold of at the moment.
Look, we narrowly beat United at Old Trafford 1-0. Probably shouldn't have won on the night, but held out, got a result. I thought they were a bit fortunate tonight to win the game 1-0. I thought we were probably, certainly in the second half, looked a more likelier team. But we couldn't get the goal, and it's the quality what you're talking about, the quality which costs big money. But we're just lacking that little bit where we could probably get a goal, and we didn't quite be able to do it.
I mean, you said in your programme notes that your aims are a lot different to the ones that existed for the last few years. But getting into Europe is almost a double-edged sword, because if you manage to get in, then you've got to sort the squad out, and then you've got to deal with that.
Yeah.
And that brings its own problems, as other teams are finding out.
Yeah, I found it at West Ham when we were just about to get relegated. We avoided relegation, and in the next season we made Europe. But we went on to get to a semi-final that year. So I still think that my aim would love to be that, but I'm not in the right place at the moment to talk about that, because at the moment, we're not winning the games to give ourselves a chance to hang in with the teams at the top. So I hope we can still do it. We can turn it around somehow, but not disappointed with the performance tonight. Disappointed more with the result tonight.
Thanks, Simon. Ollie.
Hi, David.
Hi there.
Irrespective of your home record, what are the challenges of moving to a new stadium? I'm partly asking because it's my first time here. It's a magnificent stadium. You've lost a few on the spin here. Are there challenges of moving to a new place?
It's a question I've been asked probably half a dozen times or more, because it's crept up. I think there's probably a change. I think other teams come here and quite enjoy it. I mean, if you think of Goodison, narrow tunnel, the lights, the crowd can nearly touch you every time you're off the pitch. The crowd are nearly touch. So this is completely different for the opposition as well. It might not look it, but it's a bigger space, or feels a bigger space than what Goodison is as well. So there's ways of filling the pitch, and maybe in some ways tonight we lost a goal. We were a bit wide open, and they've counter-attacked us and got away and got a goal. So there is things about it which are different, and we have to get used to. But we're getting used to it. I don't think our games are much worse than what. In fact, they're better than what we had at Goodison. We've got more points, but our team's better this year than recent seasons. So it wasn't as if we were winning every game at Goodison either, to be honest.
Thanks.
Just check on Dalcaraz, and Mark Travers wasn't in the squads. What was the situation?
Charlie picked up an injury at the last minute in training yesterday, so I think we'll probably lose him for a few weeks.
And Travers wasn't in the squad either?
No, he also got a damage to his finger, so that was his reason as well. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll just take a couple more, Paddy.
David, the TV's just shown all the corners going under Lamon's crossbar. What was the thinking behind that?
Was that the goalie wouldn't do as well as what he'd done. The goalie was bloody brilliant for them tonight. The goalie, the save he had from Michael Keane, the way he dealt with the corner kicks, there was a huge amount of pressure on them, and we hoped somewhere we'd have got a nick on one of them. I mean, I don't know, how many corners did they? I think they had one. Yeah. So the pressure we had on those situations. You could look at another way and say, we should have tried something else to try and get a goal, but very difficult to get that information on during the game. The players are putting in, and actually I thought the way it was going we would get one from it, but we didn't. But I thought their goalkeeper played really well tonight. But for me, he was the best player for them tonight.
Okay, folks.
Thank you. Cheers.